Spoiler alert, here Leilani Torres to tell you about this amazing figure. I love it. For 12 and under, it's called Front Ariana. Front Ariana, okay? And I'm not going to go too much into details because, of course, these details might change from now until October. But what I really want to give you is some tips on how to start working on these figures, okay? So for example, from Ariana, let's go over it a bit and then we talk about the details or like about the tips for training. So from a front layout position, right, to a front height position is assumed. One leg is lifted, it doesn't say which, in a 180 arc over the surface to a split position, right? So that's all the way up to here, right? And it's showing how she lifted like the left leg, right? And the right leg is like facing us. The left leg is in black, okay? Then it says maintaining the relative position of the legs to the surface of the water, and Ariana rotation is performed. So for example, you maintain the level of the legs in the same position all the way through. So for example, if you are tighter in one split more than the other, then you should really start working on that, because what they really want to see is that even line through the split from one split to the middle split to the other split, right? In this situation, it will be first the right split, then it goes through, it doesn't say stop, it goes through the middle split, and then it hits the left split, okay? Then that is the Ariana rotation, right? And then it's a walkout front is executed. So then the leg goes over. It shows an arch position. Remember that that is a position that you need to show in the walkout, because usually what I mainly see is that they go out and over. No, it should be out to the arch and then it's over. It has a little arrow here. So that means that, for example, in the beginning, head is replaced with the hip, right? And here, what it means is that the hip is replaced with the head, but not more distance than that, right? What I said in other videos is to pay attention to these numbers right around here. So basically, it kind of shows that this might be the hardest difficulty of this figure, but you can look at this part also, which are pretty similar numbers. You're not going to ignore any of these numbers. I'm just kind of saying that it's important to take them into value. So let's look at the video now. So like I said before, the easy stuff is done perfectly. Make sure that you show your full body all the way up to the heels dry before starting the figure. So the head starts here, is replaced with the hip, right? From here, you search, keep your hands right underneath your leg, close to your hip, so that your hip can go over the surface of the water. Make sure that you keep your extension all the way through, that you keep your skull close to your body all the way to the end, so that you can keep your hip dry. Mark the arch, or mark as in like get to the arch, show it, and then come out, right? I think I have another. So this is a 12 and under, so like a real, so the other girl, she used to be Bianca. She is Bianca. Thank you, Bianca, so much for doing this video for us. And this is Emma. And it's important that we see a bit of the contrast, right? Bianca used to be in the national team for Chile. And this girl is trying to get to the national team. So important that we see the progressions, right? That because we always want to know what to do in each situation. So the first thing I would tell Emma is to keep her hands right on top of her head, right? Because she brings them into too early, and so she breaks the definition of the body, that line between ribs and hip, and she starts arching on her way down. Then she lowers her hip to begin lifting her leg. It's pretty fast there. So then things like this is important that we work on them, showing the arch, keeping the head back on the position. So for example, my focus on this figure will be on land. I would definitely work on the flexibility, right? More than in the water. It's just easier to work on the flexibility on land, right? For me to help the athletes understand the strength that they need to achieve the split in the water, I do work on that in the water, right? So the strength work for the flexibility, active flexibility, I would do in the water with elastic bands, jugs and elastic bands, holding, searching for the hip dry, trying for them to feel the elastic band all the way through from one toe to the other, all the way through the leg. I would try for them to like put a target for them to touch on the wall. So for example, on the toe, sorry, they can use the wall, they can use a board, they can use another corner, and forward and back, right? Like, but keeping the hip through all the time. These things can really help with that position, searching for the split position. Now, I believe that the hardest part of this figure is maintaining the hip dry from the beginning of like the arch to even this position here. Usually they get a pretty good height even here in the night position, right? But for me, it's really important to show them how they need to put their support behind their bodies to keep their hip dry before they lift the leg. And of course, showing them this, making sure that they don't move, because usually they put their hands behind somehow, torpedo or support or split skull or anything. And again, the palm of their hands is not facing where it should. So then they start moving all over the place. We don't want that. We need to teach it. And most of the time when I teach it, I take my phone and I put it underwater and I show them like, look at what you're doing, right? Like I record and then I show them, right? And that's when they notice that the error, and it's easier for them to assimilate correction, right? Like, oh, okay, what is it that I need to do now, right? So do make sure that you kind of find ways for them to, a good way also, use paddles, put paddles in their hands so that they notice where they press into. So those are some tips that you can use to obtain this focus on this figure. But for example, my focus would be on land, on flexibility, in the water, the strength, flexibility, and the transitions, like that position of the arms for the first part, even just holding this position, going down, going up. Where does my hand feel good? Where do I feel that the support? Usually I ask them to skull in much more, because usually their hands flap out. Their skull is huge most of the time. Trying to ask them to bring it in or make smaller skulls and things like this. So hopefully these tips help. Take care.